Hi everybody, Paul Cameron here with SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com, and I am joined by former member of SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com, Laura Cognato, who was kind enough to come in and talk a little bit about her experience as a member of SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com and offer some tips and strategies that helped her through her job search. Now, I will forewarn here that I've got a list of questions here that Laura wrote these questions. I did not write these questions. That'll be very important in a little bit that you know that she wrote these questions, that I didn't write them. But I'm going to kind of dive in, and we're just going to use them as a guide and discuss both things, some tips and her experience. So the first thing I need to know is, how long had it been since you were last employed before starting SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com?
It was more than a year.
More than a year, okay, which is a pretty significant length of time.
Very significant.
Here's the question that Laura wrote. I did not write this, just for the record here. Her words: most people are starting their retirement at your age. Can you explain how you kept your focus off of your age and onto your skill set?
This is an issue for many of you out there who are seeking employment, who are either a little younger, the same age as I, or a little older. And I just kept the focus on how much I enjoyed all of the different positions that I held in the past and what I liked about them. And the other thing I did was focus on what I could do in the future. You know, these are my goals for the next 5 to 10 years, and this is how I'm going to help your company in this arena.
So far we've got a gap of employment. We've got some potential age discrimination issues, both of which, either one of which, paralyzes some people in their tracks.
Yeah, they can be stressors.
Right. So anything else that was potentially a large issue that you were facing?
I had a termination in my past.
Okay.
That's another, now we have 3.
Okay. So what level of the program did you start?
I took the highest level because I felt I had some of the more challenging issues, and I hired Paul as my job search coach.
Okay. And once we got working together, what sort of vehicles did you use to start finding open positions?
Paul has such a wonderful program. He's thought of everything. I mean, as far as finding jobs and networking and phone calling strategies, but in obtaining the interviews, there's no question in my mind, it was the phone calling.
Okay.
The phone calling strategy.
Okay, now a lot of people are phone calling. Oh no, I don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, it can be a little intimidating at first, but I mean, if you think about it, it's over the phone. What can happen? I mean, the worst that could happen is they hang up on you, and no one ever did. I mean, very, very few were. I don't think I had one that was rude. The best case scenario is that you get to the hiring manager and you speak to them, and as a matter of fact, one of the first phone calls I made, and I think you'll remember this, I called you up. It was a Friday afternoon around 4:30, one of the peak times to call, by the way, between 4 and 5.
Yep.
And I happened to do the research to try to get to the hiring manager. I had the job description and so forth, the company, the phone number, I did all that. And I can't remember if it was LinkedIn or Google or whatever, but even maybe the website. And I found a couple names, and I said, well, I'm going to try him. He's some kind of regional manager for this inside sales position. And he answers the phone and goes, yes, this is Joe.
Right.
Oh, wow. I just stood there with my mouth open. Thank God he didn't have to see me. Right. And I was just beside myself. Mm-hmm. I almost, didn't know what to say next, but I just read the script.
Right. And I will never forget that phone call. It works! Like, yes, it works, I know. Oh. But that was great, and you got an interview out of that.
I did get an interview. It was, I think it was the end of June that the phone call was made, and that was the first interview, by the way, on July 10th with a third-party global logistics company.
Nice.
So very, very nice company, very nice interview.
Okay. So on the interview topic, over the 90 days you were a member, how many interviews would you say you had gone on in comparison to prior as well?
During that time frame, I interviewed with 16 companies.
Wow. Okay. Now prior to that,
I interviewed with no one.
Okay. Okay. So phone calls work is the moral of the story. So you followed up with every one of these companies?
Yes, I did. I followed up not only with phone call and then email, like your strategy suggests, and then also with an email thank you note right after the phone interview and any personal interview.
As far as some of the questions that you were facing during these interviews, what were some of the more difficult questions?
Some of the more difficult, the one that jumps into my mind is, what is your greatest weakness? You know, they love this question, and I love to answer it after I knew how.
Okay, great.
And the storytelling is by far the greatest way to answer these questions.
Right, yes.
You know, go and write your 20 stories, and you could pick them out of the hat.
Yeah.
I had one story for, I had 2 and 3 stories for every question.
Right, which is really important. So, job search in general, what I know about job search is it can be a roller coaster of emotion, and I even see that's one of your questions here.
Yes.
Certain you had to go through some roller coaster days of emotion, some better than others. What kept you going on days when you wanted to quit?
I can remember this one day in particular, and I think you might too. The resume was just a constant thorn in my side. I mean, I was just unsure of the resume, how it appeared to others, and the formatting of it. And the formatting wasn't right for some reason, the way that it was being sent. You know, I kept sending it to myself. I tried to open it, and the formatting was this many spaces off to the right or to the left. I literally spent 8 hours reformatting, and I broke down because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, if I can't even format a silly resume, how am I going to, be considered for an important job? And I just said to myself, you can't quit. You've got to think of some other reason bigger than yourself, because if you can do this with every single adversity that you've faced, you're going to be able to help other people. And now I can sit here and say, I can help you, because here we are at this moment. The reason why I continued was because I found a reason bigger than myself.
Nice. That's very touching, and to see that as your driving motivator throughout the process, to know that we would be sitting here to help other people.
And it was, because when you get caught up in yourself, and they tell you this in the job search clubs as well, is try to help somebody else as you're going on. You may not think that you can or have anything to offer, but many times it's just, hey, good luck. Sending them an email for, gee, I'm so happy you got that interview.
Right.
Just being a support system. And I minimized a lot of things that I didn't think were relevant, but others came up to me later and said, hey, you know what? That was really nice what you did.
Yeah. And you're depositing the whole social deposit. You can't make a withdrawal until you've made a deposit. All those people are now, through the whole reciprocal principle, are going to want to help you more as you continue to help them.
And they did.
So, which is good. So another piece that is kind of an interesting problem, but is still a problem that I know you went through early on. So you went through a year of really no interviews whatsoever, kind of got things put together, joined the program and started making phone calls, and all of a sudden things started happening. And then early on in the process, you actually had job offers.
Yes.
Like quickly, that you had to turn down.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that experience? It had to be hard.
Yeah. Yes. The first job offer came, and I was extremely excited because in my mind, I didn't ever think I was going to be employed again. So, I mean, going through the interviews is one thing. To get an offer to bring it to fruition is another. Go with your gut. And many times you're going to say, wow, now I know why I made that decision, because down the road something better is going to come along.
Right, and have the confidence to know that.
Yes,
that it's
and it was difficult to have the confidence at that point to say. It was a blind leap of faith.
Right, especially, and again, keep in mind here, the employment gap, the potential age discrimination, the termination in your background.
Right.
You know what? That offer's not good enough for me. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, let's think about that a minute. Right. And I'm like shaking in my boots all over again.
Right. But a couple of things to pull out of that story, though, is that was one of the companies that I went after because it's in my industry. So she targeted that position. Before we take everybody's, too much time for everybody here, if you had just one piece of advice for somebody in job search, what would you tell them?
If you already know what you want to do in the industry you want to do it in, I have no hesitation in my mind to tell you to join speedupmyjobsearch.com. And whatever level that you feel is a good fit for you, look at all the different programs Paul has to offer, and I'm certain you're going to find one that will be a good fit for you. Take it. Don't question it. You will by far get the most out of your interviewing process. And also, like I said, he's thought out everything from the thank you notes to how to address a cover letter, what to say here, how to answer these interview questions, start to finish, from A to Z. It's Paul Cameron and speedupmyjobsearch.com.
Sincerely appreciate that, Laura. I really do. So, again, Paul Cameron, Laura, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You changed the course of my life.
Wow.
I didn't think that I'd ever be here, but because of you,
wow.
I am.
Wow. Sincerely, thank you. You've thrown me off. I don't know what I was going to say.
It's a joyful moment. These are tears of joy.
So, well, thank you all for watching all the way through. Again, I'm Paul Cameron, Laura Cognato. If you're going through some issues in your job search, like a termination or potential age discrimination or a gap of employment or anything else,
experience,
you can do this. That's the most important takeaway from this whole thing, is you can do this. And we've got success stories from people of different ages and from different backgrounds and from different levels, from senior executives through more mid-level positions and lower positions. You can do this. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much for your time and coming in. This really means a ton to me, Laura.
Thank you
so much. Time to get to work.